hopefully. All right. Um, I'll just record as well. Why not?
And if you want me to accept them, um,
I got.
okay.
All right. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So I hope it is streaming for everyone, ideally. But yeah, thanks for joining. I appreciate
Yeah,
your time, Sal, for
it's
jumping
a pleasure.
yeah,
It's a pleasure.
jumping on this so quickly and being willing to share your workflows. But yeah, just to make a bit of an introduction, welcome. Thanks for joining, everyone. We'll be doing a bit of a
Yeah,
walkthrough today, looking at some video generation in the post-production CG world. Um, Sal is one of our students going through the advanced config course right now, and he's doing some incredible things in the post-production world in regards to CG, texturing materials, and utilizing Comfy as a render engine. Like working with TKFX, I think you are pushing the boundaries and you'll more or less be leading this thing. So I definitely think like it's a lot to learn today. And yeah, I appreciate you being here, Sal. If you also want to say something to start, otherwise, we
yeah,
can.
yeah. First of all, thank you for inviting me in this. I still feel that there is tons of stuff to discover, but I'm happy for like doing this with the course first of all, and for TKFX as well.
The render engine.
Uh,
Um,
Sorry,
yeah.
okay.
So yeah. But yeah, I think it's also just like nice if you do a bit of an introduction. So like, where did you come from? Like,
Yeah,
what is your
absolutely.
course? And then we can get started with the workflow. So we also understand more of like, what are you trying to achieve with building
Yeah,
this thing?
yeah, absolutely. So basically, I come from a VFX background. I studied in London, and then I worked for a few companies, and then like it's already 8 years that I work in, almost 10 actually, not eight, that I work in VFX industry. And then one day with my friends, we decided, you know what, let's open our own society company, and then we start to develop as well our own workflows and inside TKFX. And then AI appeared, and as everyone basically blow their mind at the beginning when when they start to create that pixelated image. So since then, I start to like enjoy understanding how this works, and then we had the fortune to find your course, and because this helped me like to understand in deep deep in a deep way how AI think, let's say, let's put it in this way. And so that helped me out to try and testing as much as possible for what I will use, for example, in my case, AI. um, of course, there is Veo, there is Clean, there is a lot of tool out there that does an amazing job. But what I wanted to test it and to push was to create a workflow inside. So something that was completely local. Yes, you need probably a huge machine to achieve product quality, but the workflow is what it's important, because then the machine you can buy, the GPUs you can rent it, but then it's the workflow that matters. And thanks to, for example, one of the workflow that I started to use was from Matthew Hallett, that it was extremely helpful because the tutorial that he made, as well how they explain and the balance that he create on his workflow, they helped me out to understand a bit more, because it was more easier to test it and to push there. And that's basically my studies to create a ComfyUI render engine that bypass in a way some of the tedious work that could be done, like to achieve product quality, but with a background that has like a proper production. So if you need a 3D, you need a proper modeler to model that thing. If you need an animator, you need a proper animator to animate the person or the car or whatever it is. And to combine that, and then with the generated image, apply that image into a very blast render from the viewport. This is my test right now, is to blast render the CG without any texture, without any lights, and apply that texture that I create with the entire image. on the with the camera motion, all of this stuff. So the tests are like target on this thing.
Nice, nice, nice. Thanks for the quick like overview. I think like we can also like go in like step by step and like
Yeah,
specify these things. But I think yeah, it's overall for me it's very interesting to see like all the students because you come from like a little bit of a different background, and for you you're very CG heavy, right? Like as you said, you come from a CG background, and for you it is all about rendering, and especially like with videos. We talked a lot about images and model training, but you are like for the video, like that's your big thing.
yeah,
So yeah, super interesting to see how you developed all of this. So I would love to see if you're able to like share the screen just like for
yeah,
everybody. And we can
yeah,
go over like,
absolutely.
first maybe just the input, right? Because I think this is a very important point.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
need a very good input if you want to make a high quality
yeah.
output, right? So I think a lot of people still think you just, throw something into AI or type a prompt into AI and, bam, amazing things happen. That's a very difficult task, right? So I think,
You need tons of iteration to get then exactly what you like request through a prompt. That is
yeah.
what I want to avoid. Like the idea is to avoid the prompt, not completely, but to avoid at least the understanding of the prompt in a very deep way from the AI.
Yeah. And I think you are like what you build, I think it is so stable and replicable. I think like whatever you throw,
Mhm.
it's just gonna do the thing. It's just gonna restyle, it's gonna retexture, it's gonna relight everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, really excited. So yeah, maybe let's start with input. So like what kind of input, like what do you start with? So what is your basic task and goal that you want to achieve?
So let's start from the very beginning when I saw the first. If we have time, because there is a process behind that. So basically, I took the workflow from Matthew, and I started to explore like how it was working, especially his videos on YouTube. They was making a kind of clear understanding what's happening there, and why sometimes didn't work or it worked very. There is some example where he's pushing like the car into like in the reference video is a car that is moving with a hand and then jump on top of a car, and you can see that even if the quality of the image was perfect, the image reference, the animation that was very jittery, and like you can actually see that was a model moved by hand, even if you don't see the hand, but you can tell that there is no soul in that motion because it basically replicates completely the motion and the applied the texture that you put as a reference image. So after that, I thought, okay, let's see if I can render something in CG, of course, create like a scene and apply that as my reference video. And that actually worked very well. And I was working with the connection with the depth anything because I was thinking that is another point. I was thinking the AI think as a CG render, like as a CG software. It doesn't understand, in my opinion. I don't know. I didn't do the research, but what the example show me is it doesn't care too much of what is the depth, because anyway what he like creates from depth anything is something that works in 8-bit, if max 16, if I'm not wrong. So what I said, like basically, what if I manipulate my uh, depth and I create my depth with a blast render, and then I maybe create some edge lines around the object to enhance more the details of the edges and the shape, and then feed that to the AI, and actually work. So it doesn't care if that you call depth or you take a render from. It doesn't care the colors as well. I tested with the normals that I generated from Blender, then transformed to a normal color value that ComfyUI understands. And it was, yes, it was attaching the thing on the texture on the model, but it was very wobbly, very wobbly. So probably the change of the colors were creating that kind of not stable texture on top. So I bypassed the color. I went straight full in grayscale, and it works. The test that I can actually jump and share my screen.
Yeah.
Let me see. Let me take the result.
And overall, like it's the concept of the workflow is fairly simple. You have an input video, you have
Yeah,
a image, and then the reference image is applied to the video, right?
to do the video, yeah.
The challenge that you chose to do is to get the highest quality possible and
Yeah,
the highest production quality possible.
yeah. Fortunately, yes, that is the goal. I'm very keen on details since my background, and of course, the client wants quality first of all, and control. I think he wants as well control, and that's the reason why I'm not saying I don't trust LLM, because in one day, like 1 year, probably even less, we will have like a very good tool that will understand each word and each sentence, and you will understand as well what you mean in your head. But right now it's not super like 101. And I want to bypass, well, my idea is to bypass that. So the client has a feedback on the camera movement. I can change that at the beginning and then reapply the texture on top. And it works. That is my idea.
Nice, nice. Yeah,
So let me know if I can share the screen.
sure.
I can show you maybe the first. Yeah, I can show the some of this. Actually, I can start with the post that I did on LinkedIn. So the file, like the videos I show on LinkedIn. This was my first win, to be honest.
Yeah,
Was
you're not sharing the screen.
oh, sorry. Let me share. Here we go. Share. Okay, cool.
Nice.
Here we go. So let's start. Yes, with my first win. This is actually my. I don't know how many attempts I did to create this. How many trials and error, and the looks was still CG, but I thought like, yeah, probably is now I'm getting somewhere. So
Mhm.
basically, this is the final. This is the top of it, and then this is the reference that I use. But this is not the actual reference, because of course it's just using the control video. At the beginning, I didn't set up correctly, but he got the depth of field right. Like he got the depth from depth anything for this specific shot, my first shot. The consistency is great. I think it's very, very like stable.
Lighting and reflections as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Work.
it gets everything.
Yeah.
And the camera, it's made on Blender. Everything is made on Blender. He create the room with the prompt. This is another thing. I understand that the prompt that will be like the part of the prompt that will be used is probably most on the background stuff. When you have like not depth around, like if you have a blank space around, it will fill that with the prompt. But that's
Mm.
like the room. I didn't create any room. He create that with the prompt. And
Looks good. It looks good.
sorry.
Like good quality.
Then after that, I said, okay, you know what? I think if I adjust my reference image with the correct lighting, I will have the same result. Well, I will have the result with the reference image that I used. And yeah, it actually worked. It breaks a bit of the text. And this is something that I never came back to fix because I was doing the test. But I think now with the procedure that I have with an enhanced, let's say enhanced depth with details on top,
Yeah.
I think this is possible to fix and to keep constantly in the same position size.
Basically creating edges around the text.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Reference to attach the reference
yeah.
to. Like and
So
that's the thing about like the good input. Like bottom left, like is your input, and it's a good input. Like it's a really good
yeah,
input. Like and the more detailed you make it, the better it's gonna be in the output as well. So definitely worth like and again, it depends what you want to do with AI, right?
exactly.
High quality output, you are gonna need to put a high quality input in.
Input. Yeah, this is like for sure. Is these two works? They have to work exactly together. If I tried as well, I did some tests, and can I show you? I will show you in a minute. But I did some tests. For example, I put the image of the reference image in a position where basically my camera wasn't in the same one, and that creates some problems.
Mm.
So the basic is to probably pass from 3D. So you create the scene, you set one frame of reference, the first frame of reference of the car, of whatever it is with the camera movement. You create the image that you want with that specific frame. So it basically matches one-on-one, and then bring that reference image into the video. So I will show you then all the passages on this. Let me show you something else. So, of course, this was the first, the top one is without any compositing side, because of course I do compositing, and that's the idea of working then an image after came out with or a video after came out from and now with some reflection, with some no sorry with some lights, with some it just enhance a tiny bit the quality of the render. This is after the compositing, like after the render.
Nice. And
I
this
can show.
was
Yep.
this was the first experiment.
Yeah, this was the first, like a lot of iteration, a lot of testing, but at the end, this was the. Let me see if I have some output, even if I am a bit video. Yeah. Let me see if this one. No. No, I don't have old videos that breaks. Oh yeah, I tested as well some of the artistic stuff. So some artistic, and I think the model has to be like that. Like I don't know why it doesn't work. This is something that I would love to experiment more and more. I tested some weird reference images on
Yeah,
top of realistic stuff.
it's pretty good.
And
It's interesting.
yes, but it doesn't work as like it gets the reflection of the
Yeah,
square behind, but
yeah.
it doesn't get the style that I wanted.
Mm, mm.
I didn't spend too much time on it. So this is just a test for fun. I was making like, okay, let's try, but this is not part of my still of my studies. It will be because I want to create now something that it could be stylized with different, maybe because I didn't use a LoRa, because all of that you saw here is
Yeah,
without any LoRa. There is no LoRa involved.
I think there's gonna be an easy answer. Yeah, you just like put the style aura on top. But
I think so.
I think this also goes to show that you really fine-tune the workflow for the CG realistic look, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can always expect that. I think that's the power of ComfyUI, that like once you build something like this, it is always gonna do the thing that you want it to do. So now you're just gonna have this render engine that's gonna give you like,
Yeah.
quality renders. Like, good.
I might say I didn't change too much on the core of the workflow that Matthew shared, because it works. Like that is a very, sorry, I have someone banging. There is a very powerful and balanced workflow. It works. Like everything you place, it works.
Mm.
And that's the reason why I didn't touch too much. What I touch is the input and what the reference image should be, and the tested around of this kind of um, two input stuff. So the reference image, the video reference image, and then touching some of the colors and stuff in the input of the reference video. And that's it. So the core is actually pretty stable. It works. It works very, very well. And I think that the moment that will arrive more models, it will be implemented. I'm testing right now to implement, for example, start frame and end frame in this one. It doesn't get very like what I want, but I think there will be something that it's possible to be done,
Yeah.
because that will help for big motion, like super huge motion.
And I think also, it does get complicated quickly, right? So starting with simple, just like as you have, of like,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
let's just get this one shot and let's get it very good. I think that's the best way to go. Because
yeah,
then like you have this base and you're just like, all right, this is set. Let's move on. Let's expand into the next
yeah,
step, which is let's say camera motion, right? And you can expand it with like first and last step or like LoRa's or however you want to do it, right?
exactly.
You want to do
This
everything.
is what this is exactly what I did. I actually divided it step by step. So motion camera, so the camera is moving, but the object is stable, and have the steps to understand how the camera works, for example, in One.
Yeah.
I can go ahead and show you like these are the tests that I did. You can see from here, like the static shot, static object with a moving camera. Then I did a static camera, and that was very funny to understand how the One understands the movement with the reference video. I will explain in a second. Then the moving camera that I'm still working with because it has very huge movement. I'm panning around the car and I'm getting somewhere. I can show my final test that I did this morning. And then I tried some dynamics, in this case, the smoke, and how we understand the smoke with One. I can go on with just interrupt me because I can speak like all day.
That's great. To like be so into it. Like, and I think, yeah, it's the best thing that you like divide it. But yeah, this is
Yeah.
also, I think this is a good one to check.
So this one is a static camera. I want to show you first the result that didn't work with the static with the prompt only and a very simple input. So basically, my Wan VACE, there's a lot. Let me see if I find the one that was broken. Yeah, probably one of these. Yes, you see the camera how it's moving.
Yeah.
I ask is a static shot, and the car and in my output is the car is moving.
Yeah.
It went nuts because it didn't have anything to understand what's happening there. This one was a test with the depth, the actual depth anything. This is the reason why I start to change my information. This is the actual video why I change information of my input.
The car is static. So you do have a static shot of the car.
So yeah, the car is static. I have a static shot. Yeah, exactly. I did as well other tests. Let's see if this one, let me put maybe large. I'm becoming blind. So for example, I think this one as well has a very weird, this is just the image. This one. Now this one is already, okay. This is a good example. This is one of my latest test for static camera. The moment I put an object in the scene, he understood what static camera means in the prompt. I don't know if he actually checked the prompt because the prompt wasn't working without any object in the reference video. But with something static, he understands what's happening there. So now if I want a static shot, I know that I have to play something. And that's the reason why if you develop a scene, because the client wants a specific scene and doesn't want to go crazy with AI, he wants a specific scene made by an artist. So you can build that thing. It's very precise. Then you have a shot that it will just need to be rendered out with the input image. But now I can tell that I know how to set up the camera to make it stable. This was like after a lot. I think this one is well. Let me see if I find something was weird. Probably this one. Yes, as well. This one didn't understand that the camera was static. I was following the car.
Yeah, but it
works, but it's not what I wanted.
So it still works. The shot works, but it's not what you wanted. Yeah.
It's not what I wanted. I wanted a static camera because the car has to pass by the camera and that's it. And now just play something and it will stay stable.
A question from my side is, and then we have like a question in the chat as well that we can.
Yeah, just I can stop because I have a lot of stuff to
No,
show.
these are all great examples because I do think, but the question for me is like, so how much time do you spend inside Blender making this scene and then going to Canva? So if you can do like a bit of a comparison between like using this workflow or going the traditional way of like materials and texturing, like how do you feel all of this lands regarding time and effort you have to put in?
Okay, I don't want to say that It's reduced a lot of the time because it's work made by people, and of course, hand and the human eyes will be at different things from. But for example, if I want a very quick turnover with very high detail, I can do a very basic Blender scene, do a blast render of the viewport. This is not even passing through EXR or stuff. It's just rendering what I'm seeing in the viewer, so without any kind of texture. And maybe you just create this kind of texture of line art around the car. So if it's a car in this case, so you have detail around the edges, and then you just bring into the ComfyUI workflow. And once you have the image reference done, it's a matter of how powerful is your CPU, your GPU, sorry, and you can create stunning stuff straight away. Like my video, like I have all of this is made local with my RTX 4090, and it's solid. It makes I work at one. Let me see how much is my resolution right now. So this is the.
Yeah, maybe we can also just take a quick look.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. This one I will show you the one that I'm using, because this one is the modified one to work with in and out and start and end frame. But I need to find a way to make it work. It doesn't work. I use this is my
Sorry to
resize
interrupt
right
you.
now.
For
Yeah.
me, it's so nice to see how comfortable you are inside Comfy. You're just like, oh yeah, I'm building something here. And then like it's like you're just like, flowing through it. It's good.
It's not. It's very similar to Nuke, to all the node base stuff that
Yeah.
I'm used to use. That's the reason why it's probably easier when you know something node based, because you understand the logic. So yes, this is my resolution of my videos. Usually my videos, I can actually go higher and make less frame. But right now I go, this is my max resolution. I work around 81 just to avoid the artifacts, because all the text outline, they say that one doesn't work very well after the first to 81 frame. I don't know if it's true. I never tested because my computer doesn't reach too much frames. But what I do after is I render out everything in 18 frames, and then with Rife, well, at least for now, as a pipeline, very fast pipeline, I just create the frame in the middle. So I just make it 25, and then I go to an upscaler, always with one, to just upscale at 90, an HD 1080 for now. I think with some T-cache and stuff, it's possible to arrive even higher. Like I saw videos at 4K.
Nice.
This is one example that I was trying to do with the very long motion. Yeah, I know it's bad with the lines and stuff, because this comes from a very strong, this comes from this, actually, I can show. And it probably doesn't understand, like there is too much noise here that we don't see, but it does recognize, and it creates these lines. But then I actually upscale it, and yes, there is still lines, but whatever was broken here, you see that it's very horrible. Even the trees, he got the trees from my scene that are horrible. They're just there to make the camera movement correct. He create a very nice, very nice tree here, and a very nice look on something that in the reference image it wasn't there. That's
For
the amazing part,
yeah,
because
for me,
my reference image was from one side.
I agree. And for me, like the reflections in the shadow, like the interaction
Oh,
of those, that's for me the most impressive thing.
yes. Yeah,
It
there's trees passing on top of the car.
it does understand it to a degree, right? I think like it doesn't get it completely, but it does understand what a reflection in the shadow is.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
I'm testing now with this new upscaler, well, not upscaler, but with this new T-cache that our like your tutor gave me the idea how to install that, and I will test if I can reach 4K inside my RTX and see how many details it will change in terms of like, I don't want that it changes too much the car. And I can tell that this didn't work very well because he added this that it isn't in my car. That is something that I will try to see if I can apply some control net, even stronger control net here, just to keep and retain during the upscale all the details. Because at the end of the day, my input from Blender is HD, so it's high level in the case. I can render probably 4K, but it's useless for as I input. But I can use that probably to keep and maintain during the upscaler the shape of the car, in this case, the car.
Nice. We had a question
Yes. Yeah.
How well does consistency in human faces work with VACE? Why are the flaws so noticeable? It renders other objects perfectly. I know you've been exploring some face.
Yes, just tiny bit.
Please share how you think about it.
I don't have a test down made already, but this is my next step, going to faces, because I know I tested with a very simple stuff. I don't know if I have it. I did a cleanup before this call because my files were a mess, were really a mess. But basically, what this does is to create. It's attaching the reference image completely to whatever object is there, whatever reference video is there. That means that if I place, for example, my face on top of a model that does not have feature, it won't get that. It will apply the texture, but it won't get movement, it won't get anything because it's flat. So I think for using this method, probably it needs to be used with the DMPose only to get the movement of the face. And then this is my idea, as I said yesterday, tonight, this is my idea, like to connect, to have an animator that does the animation and use, like we did for MetaHuman, like, I don't know, like a face recorder, very close to the face where he gets the entire motion, and then apply that to the kind of data to the motion on it. But right now there is as well multi-talk that is very cool. I don't know if you have control. I didn't test it yet, so I'm still on object. Right now it's not even object, it's camera. I just want that the camera and the action is exactly what I want, and doesn't go crazy or hallucinate or making weird movements. That was my test until now. For sure I will implement.
I think like when you come to this level of precision and quality, you really need to specialize a workflow for one thing. And like you started doing it for a car now. I think you could like reuse the base of this, but like to adjust it to, let's say, faces, you will need to make some changes. And I think like for me, like again, it goes to the input, like how good of an input do you have? As you said, like if you have like a depth map of a face, that is already information about the face that the reference image will be attached to, right? So, that's going to be a combination that maybe will not always work. So like the open pose, probably better to do with a face. But yeah, everything you say about having an animation very clear and precise, it's going to help with consistency of the animation.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, I think for faces specifically, I would personally use multi-talk or even live portrait. Like live portrait is still a great freaking workflow in a model. But yeah, it's an interesting way to approach things, being very specialized for one specific task.
I think there is a combination that you can do with those workflow, like the live portraits, and because there is as well this GGUF workflow that works very well with the pose, and you retain very well the consistency of the motion of the person dancing, of like the reference. But I understand what you mean when, for example, if I apply an image of Brad Pitt with long hair on my face, it won't work. I won't have hair. That's for sure. In the video, I won't have the hair. I will have the texture of the hair on my scalp, but that's it. You won't have long hair moving. Unless you go higher, like lower with the strength of the control net, but at the same time, you will lose the control on the video that you want.
Yeah.
So I think you need to combine different workflow for human. I'm not saying that it won't work, but I need to test it.
It is a balance. And I do think like it's worth like there are sweet spots with the controls, like the control
Mhm,
net weight and strength as well. I think there are like some sweet spots like around 0.7, like up to 1
mhm.
maybe. I think if you start there, it's always gonna be a nice, baseline. And then you can adjust a little bit. So you do a few iterations, 3, 4 iterations with different steps, and you find like for each individual reference a good spot
Yeah.
in the control. Cool. Um, uh,
Let's
are there any other questions from
yeah.
people? If there are, like very happy to chat and answer as well. But yeah, I guess
Uh,
for me, the question is what comes next for you? So, or maybe the question
uh,
before, with this output, how satisfied are you? Like with this kind of output, are you happy to use it in production? Are you happy to use it as, little touch-ups after?
hmm.
Where
I'm happy to use it in production just for previs right now because I think we need actually probably a better machine or a stronger GPU, probably rent some RAM pod stuff because it requires a lot of computation from GPU to have because right now I'm working with a model that is quantized FP8, if I'm correct. Uh, but I know that if you work with the full model without this kind of quantization, and probably even without too much styling to reduce the amount of workload on the GPU, I think it will have better result and for sure like more quality. That means more quality. That means you can already render a shot at 720p. That is the max. Well, it's not the max because you can render higher, but I don't know if it works with the art. We will create probably artifacts. The train, I think one is not trained for HD quality. 1080. I don't think it's trained for that. But anyway, you already start with a point that is already 720p. So it's higher, it's for sure better. And then you upscale to 4K, it will be even much better and retain the details that you want. So probably I think right now, this is a very nice workflow to keep and testing and maintain as a reference experimental thing. And then to achieve what I want, that is complete production ready like product, then it will be a little tweaking, a little bit more tweaking, I think. I
nice.
can tell from here, for example, here there is a lot of work to do. No, sorry, this is the upscaled one, for example. I can show you actually this example because this is a good to achieve a good result. For example, the input does not need motion blur because motion blur make very crazy stuff with AI. It creates very weird lines. So what I rendered is a 3D scene without any motion blur. So that means that after the ComfyUI finish the work, I have to work on my compositing side. So apply the motion blur on the wheels and the entire car actually. That you can tell here is not precise, the motion blur. It should be more realistic. So you need to apply motion blur for sure. You need to bit to work to clean up some bits that move. I can tell that there is like this one. Yeah, it's nice, but it moves too frankly, so too fast. So probably you need to reduce if you want this movement of the leaf. There is a bit of work. So that's the reason why I'm saying it's not that they come out from ComfyUI and this, yes, let's sell to the client. No, there is a lot of work to do. There is still a lot of management of color because ComfyUI doesn't render like AI doesn't render in linear right now. And for linear, I mean like a raw version of where the grade can work around all the colors that he wants. So you need to work as well to create, for example, a pipeline for that if you want to a production ready workflow for a client. Like, I think the workflow is changing now because if you want something in AI, you first need to like approve 100%, and without that, you cannot change. Is for example, the workflow and the color space. That is super important because the color space will dictate the entire video that you are going to do because then you have very less control on changing this color space.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yeah.
this is basically the quality. I just want to show you my latest well, my one of the tests with the smoke, because I think this is a very nice thing to show. So this is the test. I know the car is not moving correctly, but the test was focusing on I want smoke of burnout of the from the tire. So this
Mm.
is after a lot of iteration and video. But what I discovered is that I can make understand that there is smoke with applying smoke in compositing. This is a compositing video that I took online. I just added in my reference video, and he understood there was smoke. Without that, it doesn't understand the prompt. It doesn't understand that it needs to create smoke. I have an example for to show that is here. Let me see smoke video large. Let me see if it's this one. I don't think this one has smoke. Nope. Where is this one has the smoke? 1 second. There is some test where it doesn't appear. Okay, perfect. I think this one is the image. Perfect. Okay, this guy. So I have an image with the smoke.
Yeah.
I don't have the smoke in my reference video. He doesn't understand what's happening, and he make the car moving.
Mm. The thing is, like, it also gets very precise, right? I think to consider from my side at least as well that when you build these workflows, there's always the part of innovation and new models coming out and new technology coming out. So how well will this translate across the models and the workflows that are going to happen in the next half a year, let's say, right? Even like a month, right? So
Yeah,
I do think like
exactly.
will improve, and having a stable base is the best thing you can do. Just like having a workflow that does one thing really, really well consistently over and over again is the best thing you can do, because then whatever comes, you can just keep
It's
updating.
exactly. This is the reason why I want to set up something that it's stable for what we have right now.
Yeah.
And the moment it comes out probably a new model, because I see that there is new model like becoming big, like Vio 3 is very good, but there is another one that Luca actually posted the video of what the name of this? It's a company makes that has a very strong model for video. So I think the improvement, and I think this will be improved by Kijai, because Kijai is the guy. Kijai is the guy that makes this happen. And for sure there will be an improvement. Yes, you're right. Once you have something stable, I think that is the base to then update constantly with the new innovations.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it. Like I'm sure they will come out with something that create, for example, start frame, end frame, and in the middle, like arrange in the middle, but not with just the image reference feed into the, even like to make it understand the video, that probably will happen this time. What I want is that the model understand that I'm saying from here to here, check that there is one image that has to be exactly this, and then you continue to create your own, and then this exact. So if you can actually start to step the keyframe, let's say keyframe, because that keyframe, you have like a for sure a perfect match output at the end, because
Yeah.
it's exactly what you want. You need to create more images for sure, but it's that idea.
Yeah. I mean, for now you can kind of do it just by stitching these things together. Like
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you can kind of like go around it, right? And like build this kind of like stitch like workflow.
Yeah.
Overall, yeah, like having it inside one and just being like, hey, and IP adapters are kind of that as well. Like you can do it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely like some innovation to be done. Really cool, dude. Very, very. I mean, I'm super excited. I'm very like I love how deep you went into this and that you just went for the highest quality possible. Because I do think like
Thank you.
what you have built, like you can use I don't know, forever, more or less, right?
That's the idea.
You can always render this quality, right? So wherever it fits, even if it's just like a previs, even just as a previs, right? Imagine going to a client with this.
Yeah. Let's make an advert like this. Okay,
Like
this is the advert.
basically, right? And then you do like the color and the compositing and the small touches afterwards, right? But yeah, like highest level work requires like highest level like workflows, right?
as a usual, like as always.
Super nice, dude. So yeah, I don't know. I think there are like no questions right now, but overall, yeah, like any like closing thoughts from your side. So like, how do you think about Comfy? How do you think about AI? Like, how do you feel about this whole experience and journey that
In
you're
general. Well, I at the beginning I was a bit scared because I didn't approach in the correct mindset, probably. It's something that you cannot fight. I mean, you can fight with like typing feedback but you cannot stop. It's something that it will go, and it will go very very fast as well. So I think the beginning was like, yeah, I really, why they are stealing my job. That was the idea.
yeah.
But then you understand like the potential that you can have as well for your own project, for your own stuff. If you have, and plus, I don't want to be very like uh, harsh, but at the same time, who is in the field of compositing 3D video, like in general, so he knows how to use a software, he knows how to use the proper software, let's say proper software, and then there is AI, then I think you have a tool in your hand that will like skyrocket your production in terms of quality and ideas. I just want to do this stuff. Okay, let's test it. And you can actually do, because it's very open. Plus, exactly, ComfyUI is something that is crazy, that is it's free. It's crazy. I like, I don't want to, like, if ComfyUI is listening, I hope they don't charge for this because it's crazy. It's free, and that's the first thing. It's free, and it's for everyone. Everyone can put stuff in. So more you share, and more you can have from everyone. Like, if it wasn't for Matthew, I didn't have this workflow, and I'm not saying that I won't be able to create something like that, but it's nice. It's there. It's working. It in some way tested. Let's deep dive this kind of stuff. So it's good that it's always there is always share on onto this kind of workflow ideas. Uh, and of course, if you want to deep dive, you need to. There is a YouTube, of course, but I think having like a proper path that guides you well, it's necessary to touch these kind of things. Then you can prompt in Veo3 and have whatever you have. But in my opinion, is not what I want in terms of AI for VFX. I want control, completely control. And I know it's crazy to say with AI in AI word, but it's what I'm trying to do. I want completely control, and I have to decide what's happening there, and not the machine.
Yeah. I totally get you, man. And that's why I think like Comfy, I relate to this a lot. Like I've worked with After Effects a lot in the past. It's the same feeling, right? You get into the software and suddenly like I can just touch stuff, I can put things together and then like things happen and
Yeah,
motion happens, right? And I think like it's a very similar concept with ComfyUI. That's why I think like for like VFX specialists or CG specialists, like the mindset, like it's fun. It's like it's a tool that you play around, you have fun, you make stuff, you can move stuff. Like it really like for me, it's that, compositing, joy in my mind.
yeah, it is.
And just like for me as well, like I understand like the whole fear as well about, accepting like these tools and like working with them. But I think like it's exactly people like you who think about it in this way of like, hey, this is like this might take my job, right? Or like I want it to be human, I want it to be my expression. I think you're the perfect person to adopt it, right? And because you will have this in mind, you'll be thinking, hey,
Yeah,
how will this technology help me tell my story and express myself
exactly.
want to, right? Instead of, other people who are just like, oh, this is gonna make so much content. Yes. It's
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not for that. I'm doing AI and the study and the course not because I want to do content just to feed the. I want to do content, but in a production level, and that's the only like goal. And
Yeah. I'm
in my
glad
studies.
you have stepped up to a leadership position of sorts and like joined us like sharing the knowledge and enjoyment. And I just saw like a comment from Michael, like Comfy plus Blender for the win in the future. I completely
Yeah,
agree.
yeah. Both praise, both like it's amazing this thing.
And it just allows us to build and do cool stuff, man.
Yeah.
So yeah, highly appreciate it, Sal. Thanks for sharing everything. For people that are curious like about what you do, I'm sure like they can connect on LinkedIn with you or also with your company on TKFX. Like we'll put like the links everywhere or anywhere else, like Sal, if you wanna like share where people can connect with you. Um,
Yeah, like this is the channel I use, like TikFX with LinkedIn and so we have Instagram as well. If you want to, we start to create a section in Instagram to just showcases the studies and all the video created in this way.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah. And yeah, for us as well, like we have the next cohort open as well for anyone who wants to go to the level of Sal and just like go deep into these things, like discover the mindsets, the workflows, and actually build like production ready tools. It starts in August 21st. So anyone curious, do drop us a message. We'll be very happy to have you. You'll be in good company, just like Sal. A lot of good creatives and innovators and visionaries rising in their, new field of AI. Um, yeah. Anything else from your side, Sal, you would like to share?
I think I just show everything I can in terms of tests that I'm doing. My idea is for the future is like to create human stuff. So stay tuned. That is my next goal is to and then combine the two things in one. So maybe a person that drives the car and then the camera goes in, speaks to the camera, and the camera goes out. That could be a nice test to merge this kind of both workflow together. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see if
Yeah, and,
it's a
and
testing time. It's testing time. This is
always
what I say all the time.
with AI, it's always experimentation and testing, man. Like you just gotta do it, you gotta get in there and do it.
Yeah,
But yeah, we'll do like more sessions with our students as well. The next one will be with Dario. He's really gone into model.
yeah.
So it's gonna be another like high level like discovery session. Like he will share what he explored, what he discovered. Yeah, just so like we don't want to make all of this like comfortable for everyone because it is overwhelming, like all the possibilities in the technology, and also there's like a bit of the fear and like resistance. So we just want to bring everyone on board and be like, hey, let's just make this our own technology, our own thing. Let's make it work for us, like tech in service of the story. So yeah, excited for that as well. Cool. All right.
Thank you so much.
If you all joined, listening in for the few questions as well. Oh, there's another question. What do you think is the future of long format AI video generations?
Long format.
Um,
So
I think I think video is kind of long format, right? You can make like very long videos with it.
yeah.
So I still think it's how you approach it, right? Like with filmmaking, you also do it shot by shot. So you just do it shot by shot. It's the same thing, right? I think the longer the shots are, the more context there is in them, the more details there is in them. So AI has more work to do. I think it's going to
Mhm.
get much smarter in the future. It's going to be retaining more context. It's going to have more quality. But overall, it all comes down to how do you make these things. Like I do think like everything comes from us. Like if you're not guiding it, if you don't have the direction, then it doesn't really happen, right? So yeah, depends on how you want to do it. But AI is going to get better. It's going to understand this better,
Yeah.
more controls. Super exciting.
Is actually understand the side of the car and the side of things. Is already understanding that there is a car and there is a forest
Mm.
from the image. So
Mm.
it's quite ahead of the time. This
Insane. Insane. All right. Thank you so much, Sal. Thank you for
thank
joining.
you.
Thank you for sharing everything. Highly appreciate it. Excited to see you, how
A
you're gonna
pleasure.
build and grow in the future as well. I'll see you in class.
Yeah, I'll see you in like 12 couple of hours.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a good day.
Ciao. Bye
Bye.
bye.